right, you want to learn how to tell a story in a song? Awesome! That's exactly what you'll discover in this video. Now, a story in its simplest form is a progression from one place to another, either to a better place or, well, you guessed it, it turns out bad. A story is a progression because if everything stayed the same between beginning and ending, well, that's not a story at all. It's just like the same old thing. So if we want to have that progression, something you can call a narrative journey, then on that journey, there are different waypoints. And we gotta hit those marks, or otherwise the listeners will get lost on their way following the story's narrative, its plot and its characters. And how we can avoid that and actually tell a story in our song lyrics, that's exactly what we'll cover in this video. And I will show you the 5 narrative waypoints that make a story work. So 5 steps, okay? 5. Oh, I can't say it. 5 steps, all right? And at the end, I will run you through lots of song examples so you can actually see how those waypoints work in songs, okay? Sound good? Awesome. So let's get started right away. Now, first of all, we have to make a distinction between where a story can go. As I mentioned before, it either turns out better or worse for the song's main character. So on the one hand, we have those empowering stories that deliver a meaningful message, like this positive takeaway. And on the other side, we have those stories that tell cautionary tales. They are like this warning, like, don't do this. So prescriptive stories that lead to a better place give the audience like the go signal, go, go, go. Like if you've ever been in a situation like this, then do this and you should be fine. It's like a prescription, right? Just do this. And on the other hand, those cautionary tales, they give the audience a stop signal. Like it's really meant to stop someone from making a big mistake. Now, for the purpose of this video, I will show you the narrative journey for empowering stories, okay? For the ones that give someone a go signal. It's kind of like your song is going to build a bridge for them, okay? A bridge for your audience. And you show them a way from one side of the cliff to the other side. You provide them with a way that they can follow from facing a problem to getting to a better place. And that's achieved by having a prescriptive takeaway included in your song's story, okay? This takeaway will come naturally. As long as you tell a story, there will be a takeaway, okay? If your story works, there will be a takeaway. You don't even have to be blunt or on the nose about it. Look at that takeaway like the main message, like the main thing, the insight that you want your audience to take away from the song. Like something like, you will survive, or you can love yourself better, or just simply love exists. Like whatever it is, all right? Now, of course, you could just give that insight away like blunt advice, but we all know that no one truly listens to advice, right? Because if we only gave advice in our lyrics, the whole thing would just collapse, right? Because there's no supporting narrative. And a great and positive message is not strong enough on its own to truly help someone. That's why we need to tell a story, so that we can bypass the audience's critical minds to touch their hearts and change their worldviews. By the way, that's what we at the Story Grid say about the importance of those 5 waypoints. We also call them the 5 commandments of storytelling. They are those 5 structural elements that work together to communicate the message that we want the audience to take away from the song or from the story. And in order for them to truly get it, like we simply tell them a story, okay? The story is meant to bypass their critical minds, like what they think about and everything, because we want to really touch them in their heart, right? We really want to move them. That's why we tell them a story, to create that emotional connection with them. So we want to bypass their critical minds so we can touch their heart and change the way they look at the world, just by getting this new perspective that they have gained through the story that they have been told. And this guy right here, that's Sean Coyne. He worked for over 2 decades in the big 5 publishing houses. He's been a story editor for over 30 years now, and he is also the creator of the Story Grid, which is like the most in-depth methodology on storytelling. And before we move on, hey, I'm Melanie Naumann. I have worked as a story editor for over a decade, and I have been a StoryGrid certified editor since 2019. So everything I'm teaching you guys here is based on me having applied those concepts in books and movies and screenplays, and I have dissected and analyzed over hundreds of songs to see how those concepts have been applied. All right, so let's get back to how to tell a story in a song. Let's look at a story that communicates a prescriptive message, okay? A positive takeaway. One that helps people move on, gives them direction, and allows them to find a reliable way to get to the better side of things. And as I mentioned before, there are 5 waypoints that make the fundamental components of our story structure, that create that narrative journey. So let's go through them in this video so that you know exactly the different waypoints that you need to hit in order to actually tell a story that works in your song lyrics, all right? The first waypoint is called an inciting interaction, okay? Think of it in terms of an objective disturbance. And I know those are like big words right now, but stay with me. I'm going to explain it to you very simple so that you know what it actually means and that you can apply it in your songwriting as well, okay? So the first waypoint, it's an inciting interaction, which is nothing else than an objective disturbance that comes from the outside world. So it is something that comes up in someone's life and it disturbs them. That's the whole point of it. It's coming from the outside and it just disturbs someone. It throws their life out of balance. Like maybe it's something great, like meeting someone new or like the love of your life for the first time, right? That's something great. It's coming from the external, okay? And it disturbs you in some kind of sense, okay? Even if it's positive. Or maybe it's something bad, like a breakup, right? But there's something that happens to someone. So it's nothing that just happens in like someone's mind, but it is a real interaction between people or between someone and the world. That's why we call it an inciting interaction, because it is an interaction coming from the outside. And it messes with you, right? So either it disturbs the body, like it's a physical attack or something more tender like a kiss, or it might disturb your psyche, like your feelings, what you're feeling towards someone, towards a certain thing, towards the world, like it disturbs your feelings, okay? Or it can disturb your cognition, which is your worldview, the way you see the world, your perception of things. Like you question yourself, you feel like kind of disillusioned. Like when something is like out of whack, okay? It just disturbs you. And it might happen directly to you or to someone else you care about. It can be caused by someone intentionally or it happens by accident. But it is an objective disturbance because we can actually see it. We can objectively see that something happened to someone. And it's something that puts itself on your agenda. That's an inciting interaction. It puts itself on your agenda whether you want it or not. And at one point you got to deal with it. Or at least your song's main character has to deal with it. Sometimes I say you, sometimes I say song's main character. But it literally, stories are like part of life. So whatever happens, like those inciting interactions, we have them, we encounter them in our everyday life as well. So that's why sometimes I say you, sometimes your song's main character, but it all boils down to like a person. Because song's main character, the protagonist of a story, they're just like you and me. They're also just like a representation of a real person. So the inciting interaction is something we gotta deal with. But in general, like those things we talk about here, like those waypoints, they happen in real life too. It can be, for example, it can be a toothache that you feel one day. It can be an invitation. It can be an accident that happens. It can be like lots of different things. So it's something that happens to you or to your song's main character. And it's the thing that upsets everything, like on a big or small level. As a first example, so you can see how this actually works in songs, let's look at the song I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. The lyrics start right with a reference to the inciting interaction, like our first waypoint. At first, I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. And so the inciting interaction is the breakup. This was something completely unexpected that happened to her and threw her life out of balance. And as you can guess, this is the moment that gets the story started, right? It gets it all moving because it gives the character in the story a goal. For her, it's getting out of that situation. It's solving that problem. It's overcoming that obstacle. She has to deal with it. Like, she can't go back into her relationship because he just broke up with her. So what's she gonna do? Like, she has to deal with it. And so she does. She gets on her way, trying to put her life back in order. She has a goal now. She's saying to herself, but then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong, and I grew strong. But you know, life is never that easy, right? We cannot just write a song about this, like, oh, this guy broke up with me, and then I cried for a couple of nights, and now I'm fine. I'm just moving on. Like, that's not a story. That's not helpful at all. It's not prescriptive. You can't tell someone who goes through a breakup, just cry a couple of nights and you will be fine. Like, this doesn't work. That's why we need the story to actually make it work. So all that means is, even though we can tell ourselves that we are really strong, it is just talk, right? It's not walking the walk. So our determination, it has to be tested. Our new tactic has not yet been proved to be the one that can actually get us to where we want to go. And we have to realize, as we try to deal with the problem in a way that we think will get us there, we have to realize that life ain't a straight line between where I am and where I want to go. There's always something else that like pops up and lets us know, hey friend, you thought it's gonna be easy? Well, let me throw some curveballs at you to see if you're really made out for this. And that curveball comes in the form of another unexpected event. Just like the inciting interaction, which is an unexpected event, there's another unexpected event that comes your way and in which we realize the true nature of the inciting interaction. Like something we didn't even see before or recognize, because we were so focused on getting our life back in order, trying to get what we want, that we were completely blind to what that objective disturbance, that inciting interaction, what that really meant, that threw our life out of balance. And since we have that kind of tunnel vision, we know like there's something that disturbs us and we want to get away from that thing, or we just want to quickly deal with it. Like we have that tunnel vision, like straight line, right? From I'm here, I want to go there. Okay, that's the tunnel. When we are on that tunnel vision, we do not see the cliff or like the end of the cliff that is right ahead. And so there's another thing that happens, another unexpected event that turns the objective disturbance into a subjective problem, okay? All this means is that you become aware of the fact that you face a problem, okay? This is this subjective problem realization. It's just becoming aware, just noticing that you truly face a problem, okay? That's it. Before you were just disturbed, but now it's about realizing that you indeed face a problem that affects you. And that's subjective because only you internally can feel regarding your own situation, your own life, because you are your own individual person. And that thing that came from the outside world, this thing affects you now. And that's why you subjectively realize that it has turned into a problem. And this realization happens internally. It's that internal relevance realization because you understand now how that disturbance is relevant to you. So this like disturbance from the beginning, it has just grown into a pain in the ass, okay? If I am allowed to say that, I'm going to say it. It has grown into a pain in the ass and you're going to deal with it. And you're affected by what has disturbed you in the beginning. So look at it like this. When that objective disturbance entered your life, it was something simply disturbing, okay? But you could handle it somehow. Like the toothache, for example. You could just chew with the other side of your mouth and all is good. But then that toothache, it kind of spreads and it comes up to your cheek and it feels like the pain is getting so big, you just want to rip out your cheekbone. And this is when you realize, shoot, that is really worse than I thought. And I have to deal with this now. I really have to deal with this. This is a problem that I can no longer ignore. Or maybe another example, when you are chosen as a contestant in a competition and you train for it, only to realize like at the day of the event, as like you see all your other opponents and you realize like, oh my God, they're all so much better than I am. Like this is this internal problem realization. It's like your subjective problem. It's not the problem for anyone else. It's your own problem. That's the turning point. You can also call it like a tipping point, because it's the moment when a value tips. Like you try to get to your goal and you get it, right? Because sometimes that can be a problem. Like we have this future desired state in our mind and we really want to get there. And sometimes we get to it and then we realize, shoot, this is not how I thought it would be. Like I'm not feeling as happy as I wish to be when I have reached that. Or yeah, it's like something that truly affects you and lets you see like the thing that I thought would help me feel a certain way, it doesn't actually do this. Like even though you achieve a goal, it turns out to be something that is not the thing that you actually needed. Or this, okay, even though you got what you wanted. Or maybe another kind of like when you have this internal problem realization, it can also be when you realize that you are just not there yet. When you thought or you hoped that you would at this point be at this point, but you are not. You're not there yet. That can be this internal problem realization. Or you realize like you can never ever get it. So this is kind of like the moment that tips, okay? The value changes. Everything changes. It's like this sudden change that happens as you internally realize something about the objective disturbance that threw your life out of balance and that you didn't notice before. And now you either got it handled, you are still trying to handle it, or you know that you will never get a hold of it. It's kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back. That is the turning point. And for the character in Gloria Gaynor's song, I Will Survive, that's the moment when that guy shows up at her place again. And she sings, I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. She didn't expect him showing up ever again. That's very evident when we hear her say, I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I had known for just 1 second, you would be back to bother me. So you can see how unexpected this situation is for her. She now realizes that she indeed has a problem. He is the representation of that problem. He broke up with her, but now he wants her back. And so she's confronted now with the question, like, what you gonna do about it? Okay, he's right in your apartment now. What you gonna do about it? So the other thing about the turning point is that it throws the song's main character into a this or that dilemma. They face an irreconcilable crisis with meaningful stakes. Like, there's possibly something to gain, but there's definitely something to lose with each option. And those options are irreconcilable, meaning you cannot have both. One option excludes the other. And so this is the crisis, this is the dilemma, this crossroad moment, like which way are you going to turn? It's all about what the song's main character feels is the right choice for them. What's the best bad choice or the irreconcilable good choice that they can make in that particular situation? Like what gambit should they take in order for them to get what they want, need or desire, or get closer to it? And that process of going through the crisis options, that also happens internally. It happens in someone's mind. And it's also subjective, because the song's main character has to make a decision about their own priorities. It concerns themselves. Okay? Of course, you can weigh in what that decision would do to other people, what it would do to the world. But it's your own subjective discernment of what you should do when you're presented with those options. Like, it's your own choice. What do you prioritize? What is more important to you? Is it option A or is it option B? What is the most important value for you? What you want to pursue? What are you hoping to pursue? And in I Will Survive, that woman who faces her ex-lover now has to make that choice as well. And he confronts her in her own apartment. So she cannot avoid him. She has to deal with him. So she can either get back together with that guy so that she is not alone anymore, but this would mean that she would turn back into a chained up little person, or she could kick him out and become a stronger version of herself. But through that, she is risking that she might be forever alone. What will she do? This is her crisis, because it's either choosing that value of love and belonging or choosing self-actualization. In that particular situation, she has to make a choice about which value is more important to her. It's a high-stakes dilemma. And the thing about the crisis is that the character, just like in real life, we don't know what option will lead to which outcome, right? All we can do is an outcome prediction. We can gamble without having any assurance that what we're aiming for will actually come true. That's why we are down there at the bottom, at that crossroad moment. It's really like it's all foggy around us, and we can't see where each of those two paths leads. We cannot see that. We do not know for sure that this option will definitely get us there. We don't know that. We cannot know. We can just take a gamble. We can just predict the outcome without having any assurance that it will indeed come true. We will only know that once we take the action and just do it. Then we will see what will happen. But when we are in that crisis, that's why it's so hard to make a choice, right? Because we always have to forsake something, give something up, sacrifice something in order to get the other thing. Or not get it, but actually just hope that we could get it. Like increase the chance that we could actually get it. But we never know. That's why it's always so hard to let go of the things that you already have, to gamble for something that you could possibly have, but there's no assurance. And in Gayna's song, that woman, she cannot be in a relationship with that guy and be a strong and confident woman. It doesn't work, because with him, she will return to be a chained up little person. So she has to make a choice now, stay or go. And that's the crisis. What is more important to her? Being in a relationship so she's not alone, or is her own self-worth and the chance for a better love more important to her? And as you can see, it's not an easy choice, because if she chooses to be with that guy, then she sacrifices her independence and self-respect. If she chooses to throw him out, she risks being on her own, perhaps forever. She does not know. So that crisis is the third waypoint on the journey. And when we are in a crisis, when we are at this crossroad moment, it's really like we are stuck. We cannot move on until we make a decision. And that decision, that's what we call the climax. It's the next waypoint, waypoint number 4. We have to make a choice and put that choice in action. That means the internal choice has to be actualized. We have to take action on the decision that we made. Because, this is how someone's true character gets revealed. It's the choices we make when we are under pressure and we face those difficult this or that choices that force us to reveal what we truly prioritize. So it's not about what people say they would do. It's about what they actually do. It's not about talking the talk. It's about walking the walk. That's why the climax is best expressed as an action. Just think about it. The decisions you make reveal your true character, right? Because if someone, for example, says that he's a family man and he would prioritize his family over everything else, and then suddenly he has this amazing career opportunity. Maybe he has to move to another place, but he could earn so much more money, gets that much more respect in what he's doing. And then he's leaving his family to pursue his career. Then everything he said before about being that family man and everything, it would have just been talk, but when it came down to it, he chose his career. And that is what revealed his character, the action he took on his decision. And the woman in Gloria Gaynor's song, I Will Survive, she is also making an active choice. She is throwing that guy out. That's her decision. It shows us she chose herself and not that guy. She sings, go on now, go walk out the door, just turn around now because you're not welcome anymore. That is her throwing that guy out. It was so difficult for her to get over him. She cried so many nights. But now she is throwing him out. So that is the fourth waypoint. This is what we call the climax, the active choice that we make on the decision that we made. And lastly, we want to know, how did it all turn out? That's the last waypoint, called the resolution. Think of it like the consequences, because with the climax, with that action, it's like we have thrown a stone into the water and our surroundings will react on it. It's like cause and effect. An input will provoke an output. For example, if you hit someone, there's gonna be a reaction, okay? Either they hit back or they run away crying. Maybe someone else steps in, or maybe they make a joke about it. That's like what Butcher would do in the TV series of The Boys, right? He would just make a joke about it. So just think of it like this. An action leads to a reaction, because in the climax, our decision was expressed with an action, okay? We externalized our internal decision. And that leads to a reaction. That's the resolution. Because your action is like an input in the world. It's an action that provokes something. And so the external world will react on it, okay? Those are the consequences that come with that decision. And in storytelling, this is kind of like wrapping a bow around your story so you can show your audience how it all turns out. And in the case of I Will Survive, we know that this woman will survive because she has proved it already that she is able to move on, that she is able to survive without that guy because she was able to throw him out. That required so much strength on her side, so much willpower, so much determination, so much of everything, that she was actually able to do it. So she proved to us that she's able to survive by withstanding the temptation of getting back together with that guy, only to have someone that she can be with. She is choosing her own path now. And the consequence is that this guy left. That's the consequence, right? Because after she threw him out, she does not have to deal with him anymore. It's over. He's gone. And so she got to a better place in life. She made it. And through those 5 waypoints, this is how you can actually tell a story that works. And for our example here, it's for telling a story that tells a prescriptive tale that leads to a positive takeaway. So those 5 commandments, those 5 waypoints, that's the science or structure behind it. Those 5 waypoints are how you can create that narrative journey for your song's main character that your listeners can follow along to. And those waypoints are so important. You can find them at every level of a story, okay? From its global storyline down to its chapters, scenes, or story moments. And those waypoints, those 5 commandments, they are based on real life, okay? You can even map them on the search inference framework, on John Verve's relevance realization theory, on Carl Friston's predictive processing, on Noam Chomsky's language linguistics. Like, it's all the same universal grammar. It's the universal grammar of communication and information theory, like physics, biology, chemistry. It's all built from this. And that's why those 5 waypoints help you to tell stories that feel realer than real, because they are based on those powerful concepts. So just to wrap it up, we have waypoint number 1, the inciting into action, which was that objective disturbance that upsets you to one degree or another. And then it leads up to a turning point where we realize we have a problem and the value has tipped, which leads us straight into a crisis. Waypoint number 3, waypoint number 3, where we have to discern our options. And then waypoint number 4 is the climax, which is our actualized choice, the decision put in action. And then it's about the consequences of that acted on choice that we can find out about in the resolution. And in a prescriptive tale, an empowering song, we are building a bridge for the listener, because by witnessing the outcome and knowing that in this context regarding those competing values, this was the right choice to make, okay? So just think about it like this. The song's main character was in a particular situation, faced a particular threat or challenge, and there were competing values, like in Gaynor's song, love and belonging or self-actualization. Competing values, what's she going to prioritize? And in this prescriptive tale, it shows us that this choice was the right one for this particular context regarding those competing values. So the listener gets a go signal. Like if you are ever in a similar situation as this, then do this and you should be fine. So it's a bridge because the story's message gives us a way to move on. That's what a song can do for us. That offers us a prescriptive, positive, and even empowering takeaway. Okay, it helps us to move on. It shows us the way. So this is kind of what it looks like for your audience. You tell them a story in your song lyrics and they will get the gist of it. They will intuitively understand or learn from it. They will see the bridge that allows them to get from where they are to where they want to go without the struggle in between or falling down the cliff and having to worry about what choice to make. They will know what decision they should make in the hopes to get to a similar positive outcome because they have experienced it through the story that you told. A story that we are told is just like gaining another experience without actually ourselves having to go through it. And that's pretty neat, right? We can gain so much experience just by listening to stories. So that's in a nutshell how you can tell a story in a song, or let's say a prescriptive story in your song. And there's a lot more to know about storytelling and songwriting. So subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to get notified when there's a new video waiting for you about narrative songwriting. And if you want to learn more right away, then please check the link below in the description. I have an entire online course about storytelling and songwriting that takes you from the initial idea to outlining, to drafting, to writing your lyrics. There's also a workbook that comes with that course, so you don't even have to scribble down all those concepts. And now, as promised, let's walk through some more song examples to see those 5 waypoints work in different songs that also offer a prescriptive takeaway. First off, let's look at Eminem's song Lose Yourself. That's the song that came with his movie 8 Mile. And the inciting into action is when the song's main character has to perform for the first time. And Eminem raps, "The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out." That's the objective disturbance that upends the character's life. Next, the turning point is when he realizes that he has a problem. It's an internal problem realization. And it's expressed all across the song when you hear about what is at stake for the song's main character. But I think this line here drives it home. He says, "I've got to formulate a plot or end up in jail or shot." And then the crisis gets expressed in the song's chorus. He says, "You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime." So it's all about taking that shot, risking to be humiliated again, or not taking it, save face, but suffer all the other consequences that are at stake. So what's he gonna do about it? The climax is, "So here I go, it's my shot, feet fail me not. This may be the only opportunity that I got." So we can literally see him enter the stage again. He's doing it. And the resolution is the last line of the song as he says, "You can do anything you set your mind to, man." And this shows us it must have worked out for him. It's like he has become this mentor figure for someone else in a similar situation. And he gives them those words of encouragement. So that's the character's journey in the song Lose Yourself by Eminem. Next, let's look at the song Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Just like in I Will Survive, the song's inciting into action is the breakup. We were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't, build a home and watched it burn. That's how the song starts, right? The first verse. The turning point is when she realizes that she can buy herself flowers. The crisis then is whether to leave him or fight for him. It's a crisis, right? She's so agitated, she could cry. Like, what's she gonna do? The lyrics go, "I didn't want to leave you, baby. I didn't want to fight," started to cry. And the beautiful thing about the song is that she is able to forgive. She is moving on. She's saying, "No remorse, no regret. I forgive every word you said." She is letting go of what was. She is not stuck in the past. There's no blame shifting. It's all about moving on. And that is so valuable. And the resolution gets expressed when she says that she can love herself better. And she can because she can forgive. And so she can move on. That's proof of being able to live well. Now let's look at the song It's My Life by Bon Jovi. The inciting into action is not wanting to be just another face in the crowd. It's disturbing to think about it, to just blend in and not be anyone in particular, just one of many. The turning point realization is when he says that luck ain't enough. You've got to make your own breaks. And once he has realized this, it throws the character into a crisis. You better stand tall when they're calling you out. Don't bend, don't break, baby, don't back down. And the choice is to not only say, but announce that it's my life, it's now or never. And the resolution is that his heart is like the open highway. Like he is going somewhere. He is moving forward. That continuum is what makes the story prescriptive. It's that positive takeaway. It's again, just like in the songs before, it's all about moving on. Now, I never thought I would ever go and see a movie about Barbie, but I got so many recommendations that I went there with my mom, and it was so good. Some of you will probably hate me for saying this, but I don't care, okay? I enjoyed that movie so much. And in particular, I loved Ken's storyline, his transformation. And the song nails it. The song, I'm Just Ken. It is so strong. And I have done an entire video about why it is so damn good. And I will release that soon too. But for now, just to check how the song abides by the 5 waypoints of storytelling, let's just do this for now. So the inciting into action was another rejection that he experienced. It doesn't matter what he does, he's never number one, right? He's singing, doesn't seem to matter what I do, I'm always number 2. So he thinks he's doing what he's supposed to do, but nothing works out. Nothing gets him closer to where he wants to go. Now in the second verse, Ken realizes that he is not a dreamer for wanting those things. That's his internal problem realization. I'm no dreamer. And that is such an important insight. Now the crisis does not get explicitly mentioned, but it's basically about what he is gonna do with all of his Kenergy. Will he use it to get her, or will he use it to become his own person? And the most wonderful thing about the song is him saying that he is enough. I think there are so many people struggling with not feeling good enough. They do so many things, hoping to overcome that feeling of deficiency. And what's most important is to accept who you are and simply say, you know what? I'm who I am myself. This is me and I'm enough. Simple as that. Just like Ken does. I'm just Ken and I'm enough. This song is so valuable on so many levels because it just speaks to what people are actually going through. Even though it's so specific because it's all about Ken, but it also resonates with people on universally on so many levels because it's a universal feeling that he's sharing there in that song. And that's why this song is so good. And of course, lastly, the resolution is that the world can check him out now. Take my hand, this is me. This is the consequence. He's open for the world now, the world's open for him. Now let's travel a couple decades back in time and look at the song Last Christmas by Wham. George Michael was a really good storyteller in his songs. And in this particular Christmas song, the inciting into action is the broken up couple meeting again 1 year after they had split up. So he's singing, tell me baby, do you recognize me? It's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Then the important insight the character gains and the turning point is when he realizes, my God, I thought you were someone to rely on. Me, I guess I was a shoulder to cry on. And the crisis is, what will he do about her now, since she's back in his life? Will he allow her to kiss and fool him again, just so he can be with her? Or will he reject her? It's interesting to look at this crisis and see how it is similar as to what the woman in Gloria Gaynor's song, I Will Survive, had to go through, right? It's kind of the same thing. And he says, but if you kissed me now, I know you'd fool me again. The climax is that he will not be tempted. He holds on to the woman that he's already with. And the resolution is the last line of the song as he says, so long. They part. They say goodbye. And again, the song shows how someone was able to move on from a past love to someone who treats him much better. He's not stuck in the past anymore. He is moving on. Now, in Robbie Williams' breakthrough hit Angels, the inciting interaction is when the song's main character is told that salvation lets their wings unfold. It's a disturbance, like what is he gonna do with that kind of information? And the turning point is the moment he feels that love is dead. That's a very scary revelation. Now, the crisis does not get explicitly mentioned, and that is okay. After all, it's an internal discernment. And as long as we, as the audience, can back propagate what the choices must have been from what the outcome or the character's decision is, then we don't have to include the crisis like explicitly in the lyrics. Sometimes you can also just name what's at stake. Just like Eminem did in his song Lose Yourself. Like, just read through those lyrics and you can see and feel how much is at stake for him. Like, he's mentioning so many things. So that song is definitely worth studying to see how you can include what's at stake. And as long as we know that, we can like puzzle together what the choice must have been. So yeah, just knowing what's at stake or getting the decision of the song's main character will help us a lot to know what the crisis must have been. Now, in Angels, the crisis is to either suffer in pain and give up and focus on what's real, or look to an angel even though they are not real, but they provide comfort. And the climax is that he is loving angels instead. He has chosen angels. And through that choice, he has gained more confidence and comfort. He is able to move on when he has that internal belief that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. And that's beautiful. The next example is another great hit. It's Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And the inciting interaction is that the song's main character has accomplished something, possibly something that required kind of like all of his strength to fight. And now he's back on his feet. Like, he has recovered. He's back on his feet, which is a positive disturbance, right? Oh, I'm back. That's so cool. And now the turning point is the important insight that he has gained as he sings, "Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive." That means he's back on his feet. He's tried to fight for his dreams, and that puts him in a crisis. When he is supposed to hold on to the dreams of the past and he is presented with an opportunity to make them come true fast, like, will he be tempted to trade his passion for glory? It's about selling out or not. Like, will you try to achieve your dreams or make your dreams come true by working for it? By truly putting your time and effort and everything that you have in it to achieve your dreams? Or will you go the fast way and just trade your passion for glory? What you're going to do? And the climax is that he rises up to the challenge of his rival. He rises up, which means he chose to fight. He continues to live his passion. He has not sold out. He's going the hard way. He keeps on fighting. And the resolution, or in this case, the reward, is that he rose straight to the top, had the guts, got the glory, went the distance. Now he's not going to stop. He went the distance. That means he chose the hard way to pursue his dreams and still got the glory. But he did it in a way that he can be proud of himself. He did not sell out. And that's prescriptive. It shows that the hard way can be the most rewarding one of them all. Now, many of you probably don't know this band or this song because they are mostly famous in Germany, where I'm from, and Finland. But the lyrics are also very well crafted, and that's why I wanted to include them here in this video as well. And so the song is called Fairy Tale Gone Bad by Sunrise Avenue. And the inciting interaction is that a relationship has come to its end. All the plans they had went wrong. So he sings, "This is the end, you know, lady, the plans we had went all wrong." The turning point is the realization that they did something they can never turn back from. And as you can guess, a revelation like this forces one into a crisis. Like, what you're gonna do now that you have understood that there is no going back from what has happened. And the crisis is whether or not they should swallow all their pride and leave this mess behind. Like, what will they actually do that? And the most beautiful thing about this song that you will not encounter in the Spanish version of this song that is called Olvídame, which is a critical mistake that I see about that translation, but in the original English version, The wonderful thing is that the song's main character does swallow his pride and he takes the blame. He allows her to tell everyone that he's at fault. She can tell them it was him who made her sad. Like, do you see how he has actualized his choice? This is so incredibly well done. That's why I wanted to include this song. In the Spanish version, he only sings that she should forget about him, like olvídame, and that she should forget their love, olvidare nuestro amor. But he does not swallow his pride in the Spanish version, but in the English one, in the original one, by telling her, tell them it was me who made you sad. He is swallowing his pride. He is okay with taking the fault so that she is also able to move on. Let's just call it like this. Tell them, like, if you worry about what they might say, just tell them it was me and we just move on. And the resolution is that their fairy tale didn't end as expected. The fairy tale gone bad. And now you might wonder, how is that a prescriptive tale when it ends on a negative note? It's about the choice the song's main character made and the context we know about his particular situation. And from everything, like when you listen to that song, like from everything we learn about him, we know it was the right choice and it's actually okay that their relationship has ended. It is okay when the fairy tale didn't end as planned, okay? It is acceptable. He is a good person. He tried. And now it's okay to move on. And again, I hope you notice this common parameter in this. Like, it's all about being able to move on. Like, move on over the bridge, right? Give people the go signal. That's what's truly empowering, enabling someone to move on. Like in all the songs that we've already gone through, you can see how the person actually chose to move on. And that's prescriptive. Now let's look at the song Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day. And the inciting into action is the first line of the song. Ironically, they call it a turning point, but just look at it like a curveball moment, like another fork stuck in the road. The important insight that is gained at the turning point is that it's not a question, but a lesson learned in time, which gets translated into the crisis of whether or not to make the best of this test, and don't ask why. Just don't question everything. Just move on. Let's make the best of it and move on with it. The climax is to simply take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. It's to keep those memories as they are, because they will accumulate to what your life was about. And the resolution gets expressed in the chorus as he sings, it's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. Last but not least, in Bryan Adams' song, Everything I Do It For You, the inciting into action is the song's main character asking his love interest to look into his eyes so she can see what she means to him. And what is important to know is that in this song, the first person character is not the person to whom the waypoints belong, okay? It's the person that he addresses that goes onto that narrative journey. So we have to filter what he is saying and look at it from how she perceives it. This will lead us through that narrative journey. So the inciting into action is him asking her to look into his eyes so she knows what she means to him. And the turning point is him saying that he would die for her. That's a crucial insight that she gains by him being willing to making this ultimate sacrifice. The crisis for her is when he sings, just take me as I am, take my life. I would give it all, I would sacrifice. Like, will she do that or will she not? That's the crisis. The climax is when the song's main character says, oh yeah, which serves as a short affirmation that she has made the right choice. And the resolution is that they go all the way together. Like, they're together now, everything turned out great. Lastly, let's look at the song Famous Last Words by My Chemical Romance. Now, this band is my absolute favorite band of all time. Like, you can see it, I'm even wearing My Chemical Romance. I just love them, like, to the moon and back. And you know, like, over the past 3 months, or like more like the past 3 years, I have been working on a Story Grid Masterwork guide on their concept album of the Black Parade. Now, a Story Grid Masterwork guide is like this in-depth analysis of how a storyteller has crafted an exciting and intriguing and cathartic story that endures across time and place. Like, this is what we can call a masterwork, one that truly endures. And I don't have that book published yet, but if you're interested to hear of its release, you can always go to lyricmastery.com and sign up for my newsletter. You will be the first to know when that book will be available. And in that book, I dissect the entire storyline. I go through it song by song. I have over like 120 moments that go into a masterwork story, and you can find them in 13 songs, like all of those crucial 120 story moments that can be mapped across 6 different genres, story genres. So this is just like such an incredible thing that even an album with 13 songs can tell a complete story that we can consider a masterwork. And if you are familiar with the Black Parade or with My Chemical Romance, you know that their album has endured. Like, it's been almost 20 years since they released that album, and it's still making a huge impact. So yeah, I'm super, super excited for that book. And yeah, I will let you know about this when it will be released. But for now, let's get back to the song, the last song on the album, like track 13, not the hidden one, track 13, and see how it follows our 5 important story waypoints as well. And of course, the first one is the inciting interaction. And this is when the song's main character's love interest is still by his side. Like, despite everything they went through, she is still there. And so he sings, "Now I know that I can't make you stay, but where's your heart?" Okay, she is still there. At the turning point, the patient, which is the album's protagonist, like the song's main character, he realizes that he was always blinded by the bright lights. Now his eyes shine bright because he understands now. He assumed that he was broken and beaten and damned, believing to be destined for the Black Parade. And everything he did led to him feeling like he was indeed damned. But he's updating his belief now, and he's actualizing it. He realizes, I'm not damned. There's more to me. My eyes are shining bright now. I now see, right? Like in that song, Amazing Grace, was blind, but now I see, right? This is what happens to him here as well. I now understand, like, lights cast a shadow, there's both, and there's more than one or the other. He was blinded, like, if you listen to the song The Sharpest Lives, where his mother's light was like burning all the empires, like he was blinded by it, but now he sees. In the crisis, the patient must choose, like the song's main character, he has to choose to believe there is more meaning to life, and so must his love interest. If he believes that he is damned, then he has sacrificed his belief of what it means to actually carry on. And if his love interest believes that he is damned, she must sacrifice her feeling that he can actually be more. Like a complex person, not just one thing, but be more. And in the climax, the patient lets his love interest know that it depends upon her love if he will be forgiven or not. He empowers her. But still, no matter what she's gonna say, he will go back home so he can become his own complex person and not just one thing like a savior or a bad man. And the beautiful resolution is that his love interest decides to stay with him, thus evidencing that he is not damned. And he told her, no matter what she says, he has made up his mind. She does not say anything, right? But she actualizes her choice by lying down next to him, which is a beautiful proof of love. That's the consequence for him actually willing to become his own person, for him saying, hey, no matter what you say, I mean, it's great if you can forgive me, but no matter what you say, I'm still gonna go home now. I'm gonna become my own person now, not this like predestined thing that I was supposed to be. All right, and those were a couple of examples of how the waypoints work in songs so that a story can be told in song lyrics. And let me know in the comments below if I have fulfilled my promise of showing you how to tell a story in song lyrics. And if you would like an overview of those 5 narrative waypoints and a list with the examples that we've just gone through, then just follow the link in the description below to download your checklist. And if you want to discover more about storytelling and songwriting, you can also just hit subscribe or watch the next video. And I will see you there.